If you could be any Disney princess, what Disney princess would you be?
Ariel.
Mulan.
Moana.
Ooh, Mulan.
What is happening?
Man, I was very excited to do this podcast. That answer just went so many different directions. No, see, not get into that. Well, let's get into it.
Dude, Mulan was a good one.
No,
Yeah.
but I feel like
I had time
we
to think
all
about it.
answered each one individually.
What do you mean?
Well, like I can see you being Ariel because you're all like, oh, Aquaman.
I don't see that at all.
No, because of the water stuff. He's always like identifying with
sure.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
I'm not identifying with Aquaman.
You-
I just think he's really cool.
Okay, sure. And then Mulan, I don't know, goes for you.
How?
I don't know.
Amber,
Yeah.
you're just
I'm
trying
not
to
very-
make something out of it.
I like the fighting. She can fight. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
But I just...
Would you pick?
I pick Moana.
Okay.
What does
'Cause-
Moana do?
I haven't seen the movie actually.
I haven't either.
The
I heard it's
real
good.
reason why I liked Moana is because she's a princess regardless of having a man. She runs shit, and she's beautiful with like curly hair, and she's just like brave.
I heard that movie was way too good to have that explanation that you just gave of why she's.
It is a really good movie.
Yeah.
Wait, it's too good of a
No,
movie?
I'm saying like your explanation doesn't match.
Doesn't match what it
yeah,
is?
Yeah.
Like I'm not giving a good enough answer.
Yeah.
I mean, yours goes with like what you think.
Yeah.
Ours probably doesn't, but
Yeah.
actually, I take it back. I don't think yours is the best. I think I like mine again.
Why?
Because she's a mermaid.
So.
So that's awesome. Like, your guys' don't have powers.
That's not true. Moana has power.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, she controls the
Mulan
ocean.
doesn't need powers. Yo.
She uses her own personality as a power.
That's pretty
That's
sick.
pretty great.
Okay, but I can like breathe underwater and have a fish tail.
Okay, but you're still falling for a man that's outside of water, so.
No, we don't have to go
Yeah,
for the
wh-
man. That's just her story. But
Why?
if I'm Ariel, then like,
And she wanted to have legs. Why?
Yeah, why couldn't she just be comfortable where she's at?
Yeah.
it's kind of scary actually. Like, there's no society.
What? Underwater?
Yeah.
No, there is. That's what they were showing.
Yeah.
What is it, Atlantis or
Like
something?
fish.
Is that the-
Yeah,
Atlantis.
yeah.
But she can talk to fish.
They all talk to each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, but like she can't like go to like Starbucks or something.
They probably have
I
like a
don't-
fish Starbucks.
Yeah. They probably have like a caffeine
Starfish
fish.
bucks.
Starfish bucks. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning into an episode of Strange Flavors. My name is Shimmer,
For us.
My name is Amber.
and this is brought to you by Alif Theory. You can find us on all social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can listen to this podcast everywhere on Spotify, Apple Music,
Okay.
SoundCloud.
Not Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
Okay. Dang it. And then we're also, the visual aspect of this is on YouTube. You can see our beautiful faces. And yeah. And then if you want to
Yeah.
email us your cool music or
Questions?
stories or questions, then we're at strangeflavorspodcast@gmail.com.
And if you think that you could be a good guest on our podcast or know somebody who might be, write into us and let us know why. And we'd love to have you. If you don't know by now, we are doing a giveaway. This is the 99th episode of Strange Flavors.
Hello.
Super exciting. And on the next episode, we'll be announcing the winner of the contest. It's not a contest. It's just a giveaway. You'll win something Strange Flavors related, absolutely free. All you have to do is comment on our picture with the 4 options of what you want and tag at least 3 people. You guys have been doing a great job of that. We have so many comments, and we'll pick someone at random to win. And remember that the more times you comment with different people, not using popular pages or celebrity pages, you have more of a chance of winning. So good luck to everybody.
Go do
And
it.
we can't wait to announce who wins the next one. And again, thank you for listening and all the way up to
And
this many
supporting us.
episodes. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you.
And if you haven't yet, make sure you go and rate us wherever you listen to the podcast. It really helps us out a lot.
Facts.
Leave some comments of, the feedback, what you think of it. That'd be awesome. And leave some comments on YouTube.
For sure.
And if you want our merch at any time, that is always on aliftheory.com/shop, which is linked in the bio. We have our Alif Theory designs on there, as well as if you click on Redbubble, you can always get those Strange Flavors merch or Ronald Opponent merch or anything like that.
I don't know if you guys saw the possible options of what you could win, but there's this really cool pair of socks. There's a pillow.
You like the socks?
The socks were pretty
Yeah, socks
nice.
pretty-
The waffle cone socks?
Yeah. The pillow. What else was there?
The phone case.
Phone. Oh my god, that's the same phone case that Frost has, and I always liked when it's
Yeah.
like it's right here if you're on the video podcast.
And a poster.
Oh, and
if
a
you just want a
poster.
poster. I liked how people were commenting everything like
But the
what
poster, they don't want the poster.
like they
was.
don't want a poster of us. Hey, it's cool, man. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a supporter from Australia. She was born and raised there. She's awesome. We love her. Her name is Sarah.
Shout out Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
So last time we spoke very briefly about the Australian fires. She wrote in and kind of told us what was going on there. She sent a few videos, and it was actually kind of really scary and sad to see, you know, like how yellow the sky is, and there's literally like ash falling at certain parts from the sky. She wrote into us and she said that I'm Australian born and raised and have never seen anything like this. She also said that they've been going on, the fires, for around 3 months. And I think those outside of Australia are just now starting to find out, which is great, but we need some more help. So I've linked some fundraisers so that you guys can donate to one of those to help what's going on with the fires in Australia.
Anything helps, like $1 or more.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And we have a friend named Emin who has been making these little bags.
Tote bags.
So those also help out. So I think if she's still doing that, I'll link that as well.
She said she's selling tote bags and 100% of the proceeds go to, or the profits go to Australia. So
that's awesome. Thank you for everybody who's helping out with that. It is a really sad situation to see. I've been seeing some like really nice videos from it though, where like there's people that have literally been taking like koalas and putting them in their car to like protect them and take them out of like the sites of fire, and like people that this one guy or girl, I forget who it was, that saved a kangaroo from burning. Like the kangaroo was like hugging them nonstop, and it was just a video. It was like really cool to see when you see like nature kind of like, you know, just appreciate and like know good from bad.
And
that's always like really,
Shamir
really
from
good.
the last episode.
Huh?
Yeah, not boxing
Shamir.
Oh, the kangaroos. Yeah. So it's linked in the bio. See if you can help out. Like Shamir said, even $1 helps out. And thank you, Sarah, for writing in, and we're hoping that, you know, you and everyone in Australia does better, has better conditions of what's going on, and hangs in there.
For sure.
Speaking of that, like there was this model. She goes by the Naked Philanthropist.
What? Okay.
She was raising money for Australia in her own unique way. Did you guys hear about this?
Yeah.
No, what happened?
She was selling like her nudes to people if they sent a screenshot of them donating to the Australian world fires.
No.
Yeah. And she I think raised what, like $500,000, right?
She raised more. The last time I saw it, it was 700,000.
Wow.
And then so now I don't know what it is, but there's been other people, models, and porn stars that have been doing that as well, trying to raise money for this cause. Amber, I'm going to pass it to you. What do you think about this?
Yo, this is so conflicting in so many ways.
Why?
Because power to you if you want to do that. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, like you should sell your nudes. But at the same time, you're helping such a good cause. So like, go you. For you were going to do it anyway, right? She's a porn star, right?
No, I think she's just a model.
Does she?
No, I think she's in that
actually
industry.
She's in the industry. If she's already in that industry and she was going to do it anyway,
yeah,
good for her.
Her name is Kaylin Ward.
I think she's a nude model or something. I don't think she's like a full-on porn star, but...
Okay, well, if she was going to do that anyway, and then she's switching it out and being like, hey, send them money, and I'll send you a nude, like, that, the Naked Philanthropist, I think that suits her.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like...
I think there's a difference between personal beliefs and, like, you know, from their own perspective.
But in the way, like, that maybe if the people that are donating, right? I don't know if all of them have that intention of like, oh, this is going to help.
Definitely not.
Oh, they don't.
And then,
they might.
And then there's also people that will be like, oh, here's another cause that needs help. Where are the porn stars? So like, I should get something out of this for doing good or something. I don't think that people are thinking about it that deep. I think she's
clout.
Just getting a lot of attention. Sure, her followers went up like crazy. And it's, you know...
Guys, I'm leaving the podcast.
Huh?
I'm leaving the podcast. I'm sorry.
For what?
Bad joke.
No, I got the joke. I was just silent because I was like, okay, Amber. Hey, I don't know. But, you know those things on Twitter? Like sometimes you'll see it'll say like, oh,
It's like nobody
Shim-
will even send anything to Australia because I'm the nude model.
Oh my god.
Amber.
Ain't nobody.
Are you done?
Ain't nobody.
They take their money back.
No, I was gonna say
Not if she's the face of this.
on Twitter, you know how sometimes you can see like someone that liked another tweet or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to necessarily be public when you like something. Like you retweet it, but if you like it,
It'll be this person, this
it's in
person,
your- yeah,
and
it
not
kinda
it
as
says
well
like
it.
Amber Azadi liked this.
Yeah.
So I saw some people who like, I guess are more religious and stuff, and like they're known for being that, and it'll say their name liked the Naked Philanthropist tweet, and I'm like, man, she's got everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. It's
I mean, hey, what do you think, Sean?
I hope Australia comes out of
I
this.
mean, good impact, so that's all that matters.
There we go.
Yeah, I think
I think
I
if
see
she's
what you're
doing
saying,
it
but
anyway.
I think a societal sort of impact, there could be one. So I don't know if that's necessarily like true, but like, you know, that's all that matters.
What do you mean?
Like how it could impact society. I know it's not that like this isn't that big of a deal, and even by talking about it, we're making it a bigger story, I guess. But you know, in the future, I'm saying like what that
Other
expectation
models would
becomes,
do it?
Oh, okay.
and where the society goes of like, oh, like donating to causes means that we get this out of it
Nudes,
or something.
yeah.
You're like, hey, I've donated to
I mean,
this
let's
many
just
causes.
be realistic. People probably, if you want nudes, you can Google nudes. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it's
Yeah.
not
But
hard to get nudes.
It's that thing of like, oh, I'm getting a personal one, or like, you know, I'm donating
She's probably
this. And
took two
it's a good
nudes and
cause.
sent them the same ones
Yeah.
to everybody.
But also, like, you know, those charity concerts, right? You're going to those charity concerts for the music,
yeah,
but you're also helping that charity that's going, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like when John Legend does like a charity concert, there's people going there for John Legend, not necessarily the charity, but it's still doing a good impact.
That's
yeah.
an interesting way to connect it.
Yeah.
I think you know, you could make that case about a lot of things like
Yeah.
gambling, for example, or whatever, that some people don't believe in gambling, and then using that money to like send to charity, and like, and even people that you don't agree with politically or in whatever way who are doing something good.
Yeah.
Right. I think the difference is about how maybe you carry yourself, and like are literally selling, you know, your body image.
Yeah.
for
But
the
if they're
sake
doing
of-
that anyway.
Yeah. Like, I think that's their culture.
But does that make it okay that they're doing it anyways?
No, it doesn't. But we're only talking about it because it's in this, like, because it has
Context.
to do exactly. It's not like they weren't doing it before. It's not like
Yeah.
they're not going to do it afterwards. But they just did what they're already doing and putting it to good. I'm not saying that this is the best route and
Yeah.
the most successful route, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I'm
also-
just saying that she's doing what she probably was going to
Yeah.
do anyway, and made money for. It's at least it's towards like a good cause. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it's like a good thing she's doing, but like at least it's
Yeah.
to a good cause.
And also from our perspective,
You
it's
know how
not
many
a
girls sell nudes just to pocket it?
yeah,
Pocket the
that's
money?
true. That's true.
Like there's girls
Yeah,
out here
you're right.
pocketing
Yeah.
hella money
But
from nudes.
but also from our perspective, it's seen as not like good to sell nudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole like culture in Europe, in here, where that's like normal. That's like,
Yeah.
and for us,
I
I
it's
see it
so
on
weird.
Twitter all the time. People's PayPals and Cash Apps and Venmos going left and right about like, hey, and it's not even about nudes. It's just like, hey, I need some money. Feel free to, like, people will have a
I
tweet
am
blow
this
up.
close to selling feet pictures.
Amber,
See, I think for me, it's
can
just
we
like
can we get like 20%? I'm down. I'll advertise for you.
If you put the lighting right and you do the photography.
Okay, I'm not
we
taking the pictures, but I'll like.
I just see it. I think it's just like a self-respect thing for me. It's just like I see what it is. I see what impact it's having. I just feel a certain way about it, I guess, and it's not that big of a deal to me in that way. But just like the
Well, didn't you
concept
make
of
the point for us one time to me when we were talking about these like Snapchat, like whatever, and like, you know, cam girls, and you made the point that, you know, you can have that, and they could also be in a strip club, like physically being touched, and, you know, whether they're making the money or splitting it or whatever. But in this way, they're in the privacy of their own home, they're fairly safe, and they're selling it.
okay, I
making
don't
money off it.
remember that because I
We
don't
had this
think that.
conversation in Jamaica.
Okay, because I right now at this point I wouldn't agree with like, oh, that's better than this.
Okay.
I could see that, I guess, but I don't I don't. If
That's
I
fine.
said that, then I don't agree with it now.
Okay.
But that's just a personal belief, right?
Right.
Like, I think that's what it comes down to, is just like where you stand with something like this. And it's just like the whole concept of not just this, but just like the way that people work towards the things that they earn. And she's earning in a way respect and followers and things like that based off of the way that she's doing this. And I personally don't agree with it.
Right.
And that, I guess, like overall, it's not just about her. It's not about the nudes. It's about any way that people do things. It's like a lot of things where I would just be like, I would respect if you did it this way more. I would respect your values, your beliefs, maybe, like, and understand what it took for you to get here, rather than like this sort of route, which I think is easier. And it did, in this case, make a positive impact. For me, that doesn't say that like, oh, well, other people are doing it too, or like she would have done this anyway. It just says to me that she took this easier route to do something good. That's it.
Well, speaking of I don't know how to transition. I'm sorry.
Just say
Royalty.
transitioning to another topic.
I'm transitioning to royalty and Meghan Markle. And did you guys hear about how Meghan Markle left? Well, hold on.
Is it her and Harry, or
Her and Harry both left as senior roles from the royal family.
And they
why?
apparently want to move to between Canada and UK, right? That's what it
Yeah.
is.
So they're moving from London to North America. And I read this one thing that Harry said that I wanted to share with you guys just to get your input on. And he said, I've seen what happens when someone I love is commoditized to the point that they're no longer treated or seen as a real person. I lost my mother, and now I watch my wife falling a victim to the same powerful forces.
Wow.
And so essentially, I thought that was very deep, and I know that it had been up in the media that him and his brother were not agreeing and this and that. I'm not a huge fan of like royal families and stuff. I think that our moms were, because, you know, they have this like, you know, connection with Princess Diana and stuff that I can't understand, but, you know, they swear it's there. And I think it's interesting that he did stand up for his wife. After this, I did go do some research on some of the articles that were coming out about Meghan Markle after she got married. And a lot of them were pinning her against Kate Middleton. And, you know, she did this interview where she was like, yeah, that she was basically advised against marrying him because they said he's a really great guy, but the British tabloids will ruin you. And she said that that's basically what happened. And she said, I never thought that it would be easy, but I at least thought it would be fair. And then shortly after, it came out that she is doing a voiceover for Disney, which is a project that benefits Elephants Without Borders, which is such it's such a, like, I don't know, like it sounds so Disney to like leave this type of like tragic lifestyle to then go on and like, you know, do something that's like benefiting the world. I don't know.
Sure.
What's your guys' thoughts about it?
I saw that the Queen wanted to have like an emergency meeting recently, so I wonder what's going to actually happen with this. But otherwise, I mean, we don't really know what happens in the family. No one really does. I understand, like, if that's what he's saying from where he's probably coming from, and based off of what the allegations and the rumors are around what happened to Princess Diana, if it was a setup, whatever it may be, it seems that him being the younger brother is going to have a little bit more what do you call it? Like a...
Attachment?
No. I meant a rebellious nature.
Sure.
Because I think the older sibling is usually more so like in the traditions and kind of has to follow more so than the younger one, and him already making that decision to like marry this person who is like not traditional. You know, like, it's not surprising to see that, and I hope that, you know, the best happens. It's cool that we're kind of witnessing this, you know,
new thing.
This
Right.
Yeah.
First
this
having
rebellion act.
first person to marry into the royal family who is not white.
Who doesn't want to be in the royal family?
And now
yeah.
she, you know,
I'm
is-
just saying, if anything happens to Meghan, then it's like,
Yeah.
we know that some Queen is up to something.
I think what he was referring to was not the like passing away of Princess
Yeah,
Diana.
just the way she was treated and the
In
things
the
that she spoke
tabloids.
about. Right,
Yeah.
Right,
of
right.
course.
Yeah.
Anything on your part, Shamir?
What?
Did you have anything with that? Or-
No.
I think we said last time that we talked about the royal family that we don't really care about.
Yeah, I mean, I
that.
think it's cool that like they want to start a new life, sort of. That's the cool part. So
Yeah.
I said that one time that there's I was like, the closest thing that we have to the royal family, like the way that people care about their lives and stuff, is the Kardashians. Isn't that weird?
yeah, that is.
Like, I know it's not like royalty, but it's like, you know, you're related, you have clout.
Yeah.
Everybody
It's just like
cares.
a family that you're kind of like looking up to,
Right, as
Not-
a whole
or
like
looking
country.
To
Or
either
even
fall
globally.
apart or like
Yeah.
do something good.
Yeah,
It's
and
weird.
every move is, you know, published across everywhere.
Yeah.
With somebody who recently took a stand at the Golden Globes. Did you guys watch that, by the way?
I didn't watch it, but I've seen like clips.
I watched it on mute.
On
Okay.
mute.
It's literally just speeches. So what are you even
Defeat the
watching?
purpose.
Subtitles.
Yeah. I saw this article come out. Ramy Youssef, who had that show Ramy we discussed on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's a Egyptian.
If somebody has a account, by the way, I really want to watch season 2 when it comes out. So please slide me your information. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, so he's a Muslim American, and he won actually the Golden Globe for his acting role in Ramy. And this article I saw passed around a lot. It said Ramy Youssef won a Golden Globe, took the stage and said Allahu Akbar, that's big. And then people are really praising that, which is very different than the reaction they had when the show came out.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel any sort of way about him saying that? Do you guys agree that that's big?
I think that you can say that and people not, you know,
Are
be looking
scared.
around. Right.
Yeah.
That's big. He's like normalizing it in a way.
Sure.
I think that he could go up there and say that in a place where it probably did make a lot of people uncomfortable is a power move in a good way. Like, I'm going to have this in front of you and I'm going to say it because this is my speech and I'm going to say it and it might make you feel uncomfortable. But all praise be to God. I'm saying the same thing that you probably are.
Yep. Retweet.
I think when we pass around ideas like this, and it's probably true in other communities too, but I know this for the Muslim community where we get really excited about ideas and we either will, you know, in a sense like cancel somebody completely, or we'll like praise it and be like, oh my God, this is huge, this is everything. And I see this as kind of that, where it's just like, is it that big of a deal that he said that? Like, we had Muhammad Ali, who really paved the way of like Muslims in media and the way that we're the things that we can say. Even Mike Tyson, you know, he used to say things like this, and at the time they were criticized and
Yeah.
it wasn't cool. And Ramy, he can come up and say it comfortably in a comedic way. Actually, the way he said it was just kind of like, I want to thank my God, Allahu Akbar. Everyone laughed actually, and it was kind of like he can say it, and it's, you know, like, what are we really praising here? You know,
If anything, the path that Muhammad Ali did pave and that he can say
Sure.
comfortably.
Sure, but like, why? If people said one thing about like, you know, this is what we feel about the show and this is not a representation of Muslim Americans and this and that, and then he says something like this, and then we're like, oh, you just have to look or talk the part, as long as, you know, you're getting the message out there or whatever. But whatever you do otherwise, we don't really care or support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're criticizing the people, right? That are sort of criticizing him.
And the people that like are really praising this article,
yeah,
or like
praising
what he
the article
did.
and not the show, and they're like flipping.
Like, why is he on the stage? I don't think like a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
What's the show about? I don't think everybody has watched that.
Yeah.
They're praising the fact. It's the headline is just Muslim American wins award and says Allahu Akbar on stage, and people are like, oh, like, we made it, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't really know
Yeah.
what's, you know.
And those same people were bashing the show.
Exactly.
They were like saying, yo, why does a normal Muslim guy have to do drugs or this or that, like, in the show? Why can't he be like super halal and stuff? And then when he says Allahu Akbar, the same people are like, oh, that's amazing.
To be honest, I think that this whole thing, the show, what he's saying, all this, is just playing a role in normalizing Islam in everybody's eyes. We have to have these people who care a lot and these people who don't care at all, people who get angry, people who get happy, for it to just become a normal thing in society, for this to happen and us not blink an eye. And if that's just a part of the process, I appreciate the process.
I think we agree with you. I think what we're saying is like the people that are responding to, okay, this is not okay.
That's what I'm saying, is I think that those conversations,
Yeah.
as much as they are annoying to us and, you know, other people who, you know, whether enjoy the show or don't want it to be a big deal,
Yeah.
I'm saying these conversations almost have to take place for it to become normalized in society.
Yeah.
I'm more so just saying, like, you know, if you're listening or you see something like this, don't get so excited. And if you see something that's controversial, don't get so annoyed.
Angry.
I think at the end of the
Exactly.
day, especially what a lot of religion teaches you is just like, you should focus on yourself and not judge other people in that way, because, you know, you yourself have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this: like, if you don't agree with the show because it's not Muslim enough for you, make a show that's Muslim enough for you.
Sure.
There you go. Or watch Rhythms of Fate.
Or just
Almost
don't-
out.
Just don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. Like,
Yeah. But you know what is annoying?
what?
Yeah, you got that yummy yum.
Yo, the song's fire. I
The
think.
song is
Okay.
pretty good. Okay, so like Justin Bieber came out with this new song after a long time of not putting out,
4 or 5 years. He's done like features and stuff,
Yeah.
but not his own.
but like not his own project. So
Yeah.
he's coming out with this.
Can you name
Album
another line
and-
from
and-
that song aside from the one that you just listed?
What, the yummy yummy line?
Go to your work.
I got you flexing on me, something
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
No, the song was cool. I think the problem that people are having with it a lot. I actually saw your tweet, Shamir, and I didn't understand what was happening. You said,
Yeah.
I love the song, but I don't like what's going on with it, or the team.
Yeah.
And I had to look into it
Yeah.
after you tweeted that.
Yeah, so basically, like, Justin was promoting this song for like weeks, and everyone was like getting hyped about it, and that was cool. Once he dropped the song, he was like, follow me on TikTok, and then he made this Instagram post like a couple of days later, and he was like, make sure you have it on a Spotify playlist and keep repeating it and like recycle it so that it can go hit that #1 spot. So he's like desperately trying to get this song to the #1 spot in like the weirdest way possible.
And I
Okay.
saw that after looking into it a little bit, I was like, whoa, this is weird. And then immediately afterwards, I saw that Justin Bieber went live. So I clicked it on Instagram, and he was live, and he was, you know how you can like add people to your live,
Yeah.
so you can share the screen and talk to them.
Yeah.
So these girls are like freaking out. Oh my God, Justin! Oh my God, Justin! And he'd be like, hold on, stop. I need you to go on iTunes and buy Yummy. And they'd be like, I actually already have it. And then he'd be like, no, but you're streaming it, right? And they'd be like, yeah. It's like, I need you to go on iTunes and buy it.
Wow.
And they'd be like, okay. And it was like very awkward, because it's like these girls are excited to see this, and then, you know, he would cross it out after. He's like, you promise me, you pinky promise me. He'd make them pinky promise, and then cross it out. And it's like this weird, like, he's using his like cult following to like get to #1. And the #1 song right now is The Box by Roddy Ricch. And I even saw him tweet
Stream Yummy.
And I'm wondering, is Justin Bieber paying people?
No,
Because he was on David Dobrik's.
Yeah, I think
video too.
Justin's like paying people, but I think Roddy Ricch made that tweet because he just doesn't
As a
care.
joke?
Like, I don't think he just cares. He
Okay.
thinks, you know, the song The Box is just doing well. Like, he's I think he's like a pure artist in terms of like that.
Okay.
And he's just making fun of, kind of like as a joke.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it feels so bad because I actually like the song.
Yeah.
And he's trying so hard to like make it the #1 spot.
Well, clearly he had David Dobrik like, hey, I'll be in your video if you put this at the end of your video, like, to stream Yummy, because that's what happened right afterwards. But also, I think the reason why is because he hasn't released a song in so long. He's probably so worried that if he does release a song, it's not gonna do well, and he's like not gonna be able to live up to like his old success.
Yeah.
So he's probably overdoing it.
Yeah.
by
There could be a lot of reasons to it. It could also
I think he's trying to copy Lil Nas X, because Lil Nas X did the same thing, but he did it naturally.
he did it through like memes and
And he did it himself. Like, he didn't do it a crude way. Like, he would make it as a joke, like, hey, leave Old Town Road repeating on Spotify while you sleep or something. But it would be funny in a joke, so people actually wanted to support it.
Yeah.
Like, people actually wanted to support it. A lot of people on Twitter hate Yummy. So he's kind of forcing, like, a song that a lot of people don't like
yeah.
to go #1. It's like, yo, if people don't like it, don't overdo it.
Yeah. It could also be that, you know, maybe he sees the music thing as its own like business or whatever. And there are people that treat, you know, that side of things and social media as just their marketing, and they don't actually put their personal lives and things like that on it.
Yeah.
And I think the issue that some people might have with what he's doing is like, we've seen Justin Bieber go on this like really nice spiritual path, and we're like, oh, he's finally, you know, calmed down, he's figured himself out, this and that. So he could very well still be on that path and using this as like his, I'm just go on here for business, for marketing, let me get back on track, whatever. We don't know what it really is, but all I know is that it is kind of annoying that like that's the way we're seeing it, where, you know, Jay-Z when he said in a song recently with Meek Mill, what's free, he was like, you guys are looking at Billboard, like, are you, like, it's, I forget what the line is exactly, but he was saying like, are you dumb for thinking that Billboard is success? Because we see it all the time. Like, there's artists complaining that there's people selling you know, packages and weird things to get to these numbers, and it's not actually a valuation of what the art means at all by any means. And so it's a weird thing.
Well, with that being said, I'd just like to say that today's sponsor is Justin Bieber, so go make sure that you stream Yummy.
Today's sponsor is actually Shamir, and you should stream Make It Ain't Even. That song is fire.
Thank you.
On the real.
Yes.
I listened to it like continuously since it came out.
Really? That's a huge honor.
And
Thank
actually, I was listening to it. I just had it on play, right? I was doing something, and then I was like, hey, why don't I just do what Justin Bieber is trying to get people to do? So I just like kept it on overnight, and I woke up and it was still playing on repeat.
No.
I was like, like, why don't we do that for us? So I'm just like, let me just do that.
Dang.
And
you need to use his marketing techniques.
Yeah, just be annoying with it.
No, because like, you know, it's different when you actually like a song and you want that person, especially like the person that doesn't need it. Why are you streaming their stuff?
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
in that way.
Someone did that to one of my old songs, like recently.
Okay.
From Australia, and you can see where the person did it.
Yeah.
And it was like Australia, and it was a song, and it was played 500 times. And
Jeez.
and I like, since I released a song right after that, it wasn't the top song because someone did that to the old song. So I'm like, why would you do that? But I don't know.
Dang.
I don't know if it was on purpose or accident, but I don't know.
But thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
No, but I do want to give you a shout out, because the premise of that song and just like the realness, the rawness of it is awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm really like glad that you're, you know, continue to perfect your sound and work on it harder and like your whole craft. And it's always exciting when you see people that you are rooting for, you know, do that and continue to get better, and you actually become fans. Like, that's my favorite thing. Like, you know, when you're friends with somebody who is actually making, you know, content or some sort of product or creation, whatever it might be, and we have a few friends like this where it's just like we actually like their stuff. That's always the best feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So always just like support your friends no matter what, I think. And even if you don't necessarily, you know, you're not necessarily a fan of them yet, I think that support can eventually get them to that spot.
And also, you can become a fan of anyone just by supporting like who they are as a person.
Sure.
Sometimes,
if you believe in what they are and what they do and stuff. Yeah, sure. On that note, let's bring in someone who helped craft who this person is today in a way of their own, who is Shamir's uncle today, who is our stranger on the podcast. Hadi, aka POLOMAN. He has you know, some stories that make him maybe the most interesting man from Pakistan, and just kind of tells you what it's like coming from a country and a culture completely different and figuring out what it means to have a purpose and continuously finding that purpose in different parts of the world. So without further ado, we're excited to bring to you Hadi. POLOMAN in the building.
Polo. Yo, what's up?
What's good? So you're Shamir's uncle.
Correct.
Let's just start off with this. Like, what's your relationship like with Shamir since he was little to like now?
Okay, sure. So we're like 8 years apart. I'm 31. I'll be 32 actually pretty soon.
8 years?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's the same gap between me and my younger brother.
Oh wow! I
Yeah.
actually didn't know that.
So he actually came to Pakistan. He was very young. Him and Sana came together actually, and that's when I saw him kick Sana like straight up in the shin.
Like our friend Sana.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It's,
I don't even remember
Rebecca
this.
Black. So he came to Pakistan. He was very cute kid, but he never let any of us touch him because he was like always, because he never seen us before. Me and my sister.
Which is his mom.
His mom, yeah, older. Okay. Yeah, his mom is like oldest, and then I have your brother, and then sister, and then me. So I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So he came, and then he finally got along with us. So he basically ate what I ate, like Maggi noodles. It's like every time I cook something, and he would take like pork quarter of it and eat it. Then and then I moved to the U.S. when I was 10 or 11. We moved to his house. They used to live in Colombia. We lived there for a couple months, and we moved to Chicago. Then his mom dropped him off to Chicago, and then so I always saw him as a little brother growing up.
Versus a nephew.
Versus a nephew, exactly. But his younger brother, I at least saw him as a nephew. But funny thing is, none of them called me uncle or anything. They just called me straight about Hadi, which I like.
How does your mom feel about that, Shamir?
I don't think she cares.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I think early on she was like, oh, call him Mamu, but we never listened.
Yeah. I think I deep down, like, behind the back, I'm like, just call me Hadi. Like,
Give us some dirt on him.
Yeah.
What's something
Is there
funny or
anything-
embarrassing that happened to Shamir when
Or that he does.
he was a
did.
little...
So in Pakistan, it was
Yeah.
super hot, so he always walked around in diapers. And one day, I guess he took a little, number 2 in his thing, but it wasn't like, it was just like a ball. And then he was running around. He put his hands in the back, and you're like, what is he doing? He's like just digging, and he comes out. He's like, how you throw a Pokeball?
No.
He just throws it, and he gets stuck on like something, and just rolls down.
Oh my god.
And then my mom had to clean it, but it was expected,
It was expected.
Because Americans, when you go to Pakistan, you eat all this food, you get diarrhea or something. So it was
Thank gosh it wasn't diarrhea.
No, it was a solid ball, like a Pokeball. So that's the only thing I can say.
No, he used to, when he moved to Chicago, I was like, 6 or something?
Yeah.
And he used to prank me all the time. Like, when he also moved to our house for like a little bit,
Yeah.
just pranked me all the time.
Like what?
There's this one time I was sleeping, and he had this like devil mask. Like, literally, it was a devil.
It was a monkey gorilla.
No, it was a devil.
Oh,
the
really?
horns, remember?
Oh, that
Yeah,
one.
Yeah. So
He's like, oh, that one, part of my mask collection.
So I was sleeping, right? And I think I was sleeping in the room alone, and he puts the devil mask right in front of where I wake up. And so I woke up, and in the middle of the night for some reason, and then I see the devil mask, and I literally thought the devil was right in front of me. Like, I thought I was in hell or something. And
How old were you?
I was 6.
Oh, geez.
So the story behind it, he would always bother me. Oh, let's play. And I'm like, yo, let me watch like Batman Beyond or whatever's coming on TV. But he would always bother me. So I figured out a way to like get him not to go downstairs in the basement or anywhere, because in the basement I made this fake like a body, and then I put the devil mask and stuffed it with clothes, so it looked like it was full.
Oh my god.
And he'd be like, don't talk to it, he's sleeping.
So he was like, shh.
Jeez.
So I figured out a way just to like not have him bother me all the time. But
And then like
That's funny.
he was like, let's play hide and seek one time, and I was like, all right, I'm down. And then he like hid somewhere so well, and then I was like, I was trying to find you, I couldn't find you. He was like, I turned invisible. So like anytime we play hide and seek, like I'd bang on like places. I'm like, are you here, like on the wall.
I mean, you're a dumb kid.
no, you remember Hamza when he locked himself in the bathroom playing hide and seek?
No, I don't.
No, that was another thing.
That's funny. No, but you guys have like a awesome relationship. Hadi, you came with us on a few trips now, which was like really awesome. So it's cool to see that dynamic.
Yeah.
Where, like,
Now I would say me and him are more like friends.
Yeah.
Because I think a couple of years ago, his dad moved to Texas, and I moved in with them because there was his mom was always working.
Yeah.
So
you needed a man in the house because Shamir wasn't.
Exactly. so I moved in, and then we developed more relationship in a way
Closer
that
bond.
closer bond, and so that was pretty interesting. And now every time I see him, we just see each other as friends. Even his mom sometimes. He doesn't know, but randomly calls me, like if she sees him and stressed out, she
Mhm.
like can you reach out to him and things like that. And I do that, it's just because these are the only two nephews that I can connect directly, because my other nephews and siblings, they're either in Pakistan or they're too young for me to connect.
You guys have similar interests too, like
correct.
But like the things that he geeks out about, I noticed that like you're even more so into like whether it be Star Wars or like all that kind
I
of
think
stuff.
he shaped like all my interests,
Right.
like literally
makes
everything.
sense.
I taught him how to play Xbox, so so he used to come and play Halo, and it was, you know, you could play two players, a split screen. So I would drive and I would tell him, yo, shoot these aliens. So he was really good at it.
I think everyone has that like cool uncle, and that was you for him, but like on a different level.
Yeah.
What do you think about like what he does now, or like when you first found out that like he was kind of doing this YouTube-y route with like the media stuff going on and all that? Like, what'd you think of that, and what do you think of it now?
So I think I remember seeing you at my house in Ramadan one time randomly. You came, so
that was when we did the show
at Virginia somewhere.
like genre out to eat or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first like time meeting you, and you know, so later he told me more about you and things like that. I thought, you know, personally, back in like 2006, one of my videos went viral on YouTube. I made a collage, like a montage for this radio station, HADI 995, and they played it so much. It was one of those top like viewed videos, but you know, I never continued because I wanted to do that. I was like, because I got a job at the government. I was like, you know what, I can't be posting ratchet stuff. So I have to like, I took it down. I had like 1,000 followers when I was like making like dumb videos. So when I saw him doing it, I was like, oh, he carrying the legacy of, you know, what I wanted to do, but he's doing it, but even better.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just felt like, you know, at least, you know, he has a support from his parents and things like that. So I thought that was very amazing that he's actually taking that route instead of doing the traditional, you know, wake up, go to job and everything. So, you know, it's all, you know, inshallah, I hope, you know, both of you guys, you know, make it happen.
And Amber.
Well, of course. Well, Amber has different goals. She told me she wants to get married and have kids, so.
Hold on. Amber never said any such thing.
We had a hot topic discussion about it back in Houston. I was just trolling them, like, yeah, you want to have kids, you know, they're going to sink because of global warming. What's the point?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think our kids are screwed for that kind of stuff. But Shamir carrying on the POLOMAN legacy. Tell us about that name. Where does POLOMAN come from?
So I don't know how old you guys were back in 2001, but I was like 11, I was in middle school, and we used to use AOL, American Online Service for the internet.
Okay.
And so
Was that dial-up?
Yeah, 56K modem. Like, so we go to Kmart, we buy the CD, and it had like 1,000 hours. And if you do math, I think there's less than 1,000 hours in a month or whatever. Anyways, it was ridiculous amount of hours you could use to log in. So we used to use AOL Messenger, AIM, short form. So, you know, I used to love watching polo sports. Like, you know, in Pakistan, it's pretty famous. You know, with their own horse ride.
With their horse and the
croquet. So all my school, like all my friends. So I was new. I barely spoke English well. I understood everything, but it was a confidence that I didn't have to speak English well. So all these kids have all these cool name, and so I'm like, yo, what can I make? So I looked to the left. I saw like, you know, Polo Cologne. I'm like, okay, let me type Polo. So after so many tries, because, you know, some of them were taken, it was Polo 1 2 3 man 4 5 6. So I kept that for like as long as I could, and then Xbox came, and then I made the tag like POLOMAN just to carry on. From there on, like every online profile I made, it was just like, you know what, just an easy POLOMAN. Just be consistent POLOMAN.
I'm glad there's a story behind it. Like that's good to know. And you could actually rock those polo shirts then, while knowing, because I feel like anybody that wears polo, they're just like, yeah, what?
And then sport? I don't know how it started on my Instagram. Somebody just like, I made this pose with my hand on my chin and looking up, like, oh, that's the POLOMAN move. So I made a hashtag. Do the POLOMAN. So I don't know if you go on the hashtag, you might see like random people around the world be doing that and tagging me.
Really?
Yeah, like I'll show you like somebody in Italy, somebody stuck in traffic. I'm like, yo, it has to be at
that's fire.
So I should do it more often. I just, you know, haven't had a chance, but it's so many places you could do. But then you also go to a place where you can't do a polo, and I'm like, okay, like in Norway, I was like, where should I do? What is Norway famous for?
Oh, so like you're saying like have a good background
like
of like that place.
Like if you're in a city and the city's famous for something, you can do in front.
Oh, you do in front of that.
In front of that, like a structure or monument or whatever.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You talked about like your getting the confidence, you know, when you came here. So I think one of the first things that people notice about you, and especially like, you know, when you're in a group setting, is like that confidence and that swag that you have. And did you always have that? Like, where did that come from?
So as you can see, I'm wearing like a Hawaiian shirt. So people make fun of me, and a funny thing is, like, I don't know how it got into me, but my mom one day told me, he's like, oh, my dad used to wear the similar shirts, and Ramy knows, but you guys, he was Welsh. He was actually white.
Who?
Like our grandpa, like my mom's dad.
Yeah, like 100% white.
100% white.
Wait, what?
From Wales, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Did you know
interesting.
this?
No, I didn't know that.
What was his actual name?
So his real name. So what happened was, before the split of Pakistan and India, his parents were there. I think they were
This is
there.
your grandpa?
Yeah, my mom's
Great grandpa for me.
Great-grandpa.
His great grandpa, my grandpa, his great grandpa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, and when before the split, he was in India, or, you know, that region with his parents. I think his parents were in the British Royal Army, and they got assassinated or they died somehow, and he was pretty young. So some lady adopted him, and she changed his name and whatever, and she raised him with other siblings who looked nothing like him. Like, he was 6'2", and his siblings were like 5'10", and they were like super dark skinned, but they saw him as brother. And throughout everybody's life, they were like questioning, like, he's not related, like, how come he's like completely different. So when he passed away in 98 from blood cancer, they were going through his, you know, birth certificate, and his name was David Gregory Anthony.
Oh,
that was
wow.
his real name.
And he was like kind of adopted, basically?
Basically, but
Huh.
he never knew because he was too little, and the lady who adopted him changed his name and religion and everything. So when he died,
He
he died.
spoke Urdu?
He spoke Urdu with like a British accent. Like, I'll show you guys his picture. He looks like, you know, like one of those actors, old Firdaus Khan, whatever. Looks just like him, like glasses, like cool swag. So my mom told me that he would wear shirts like that, and then my dad would wear it too, because my dad actually was his student at the gym, and that's how he met my mom. Because my grandpa was like, you know what, you're a good guy, because he would work out with him at the gym, and they were both bodybuilders, and that's how they met. So in terms of confidence wise, like when I moved here, it was very hard adjusting, because you lose all your friends, and you're getting exposed, because we were in Chicago and only had one Pakistani friend, and that's when 9/11 happened, and that's when like the whole environment changed for me, because I saw like how the people changed. Except for one professor, Mr. Keen. He was like my favorite. I still is, actually keep in touch with him. Besides him, every other teacher and like kid in the school just turned 180 degrees, and it was kind of
Like, did you experience like any sort of like harassment?
yeah, like I remember, so I used to do wrestling, and there was this one kid, not gonna say his name, but he say, oh, your cousin Osama is this. I heard it, and I looked over, I'm like okay, I ignored it. But then my other Pakistani friend, he was like he was born and raised here, so he was like, yo, don't take shit from him, just, you know, knock him. I'm like, I'm not gonna hit him. So somehow we ended up being partners in wrestling training, right? So my coach was like, oh, you guys are partner. And I'm like, okay. I went all out, man. I just choked him out. So that was my revenge on him. But nobody picked fight with us, because we were like pretty big kids in high school, in middle school. But the teachers were, you know, always on our case. Like, if me and this other white kid did something, he would take me to the principal's office, or not other person. And when I would say something, I'm like, yo, he's doing the same thing. And he was like, I didn't see him, but I saw you. So that's what I was like. I'm like, you know what? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that was like the time where, you know, I was like, you know what? I have to be more confident, and, you know, don't be scared. And that's when the whole journey started. Then I moved to Maryland, and, you know, I just...
How did you like... you know, sort of keep your ground and not turn toward, or I mean, from what we see now, you're very like approachable, and you like people of all kinds. So like, how did that not shape you towards like having this, you know, retaliation towards either white people or like, you know, people that didn't look like you in general?
So as you guys know, I love to travel, and every country I've been to, whether it's a country dominated by white people or brown people or Arab people, there's racism, there's retaliation among people there. Like in Iceland, for example, people say, oh, it's the happiest country in the world, but the reality is they have their own problem. There's the high rate of syphilis. They have people are depressed over there because there's not enough sunlight or not enough work, and they have racism against each other. Like they hate Romanians, or they would hate Polish people because they have the same concept. Oh, like we say, oh, Mexicans are taking our jobs, or Spanish people are taking our jobs. They have the same concept there. And now that's coming from the locals over there, because when I travel, I try to interact with locals just to get what's happening, right? Malaysia, for example, you have Chinese, South Indians, and Pakistanis, and you have racism among them, like this sort of like Chinese were like, oh, government gives jobs to Pakistani people more, Indians not us, or things like that. Yeah. So keeping that in mind, when I moved here, or when I come back to the United States, I realized, you know what, bad people are everywhere around the world. You know, we're not the only one. Yeah, we're not perfect, but you know, we're not the worst either. America has given me a lot more than my own country, so I'm not gonna be like one of those like victimized people and just stay there. I was like, you know what, that's it. You know, you were rude to me. I'm screw you too. Like, I feel like anywhere you go in the world, you're gonna see the same thing. And if you're gonna keep the mentality of, you know what, you're racist, you're mean, don't talk to me. Like, you can change other person's perspective by your action.
Yeah.
So then, having that experience and traveling across the world, but still being born in Pakistan and spending a good amount of your time here, how do you hold on to your like Desi culture? What do you more identify with? How do you balance that?
So one thing I've noticed, there's, I don't know if you guys have talked to or interacted with Desi people around the world, but we are a different breed in US compared to Europe or Asia. I feel like
you mean like Pakistani Americans,
Pakistani,
or Indian in general? Correct.
Okay. Like in Europe, for example, they bring their culture with them and they don't grow out of it. Like they would have the same mentality, like, oh, a girl should get married early, or this and that. Like she shouldn't shouldn't do this. But us, we're more tolerant. We try to become more westernized in a way, in a positive way, not like, you know, we're doing everything that, you know, Westerns are doing, but we still keep our
taking the best of both worlds.
And we try to understand it. We're not like completely blinded by like, no, this is our culture, we're gonna bring it here no matter what. So in terms of keeping respect for my culture and all those practices, I try to practice Urdu first of all with my parents. I speak Urdu with them, whatever. I try to read articles in Urdu so I can have a little bit of, you know, that sense that, okay, I'm from Pakistan, you know, I need to maintain the language.
Keeping the culture and all that.
So I have my best friends actually from all different provinces. I have Pashtun Pathan friend, I have Punjabi, Sindhi, and all those. So I speak with them in Urdu because that's the common language that we all speak. And if they speak different language, I can actually understand a little bit. Like Sindhi, for example, is, you know, Saad, for example, he speaks Sindhi with his dad, and his dad was speaking. I understood everything because in Pakistan I took Sindhi, so I brought it with me. So it's like one of those things. Like people, I tell people, like I try to keep the tradition in a way like respect, and not. You're probably gonna see me not following the culture to a point where, you know, somebody my age, they expect to have kids by now, married and things like that. So all that perspective changed with my experience by traveling and interacting with people, things like that.
I think I see that with Shamir a lot, actually. I think when I first met you, I from up until like, you know, the next year and the next year after that, I saw you growing more and more fond of your culture and kind of like learning and practicing things like Urdu, for example. Like you always speak Urdu with my mom, even though you don't have to, but it's just like to keep that alive. Is that something that you know, learned from watching Hadi as well? I think like you had a kind of American experience growing up, and like how would you say that, like, you know, seeing him and
I think when I was growing up, I kind of saw him like kind of be assimilated to the American culture, because I think he was trying to like assimilate into the American culture. And then there was a point, I think like probably after high school for him or college, where he like started hanging out with more Desi people. I see him with more Desi people, and then after I like early college, like it just came back to me, because I used to watch like Bollywood movies with my parents when I was young and stuff like that, and talking, so that I always like respected that. But I don't know, I think it just came to me like naturally. I wasn't necessarily like looking at Hadi like saying it.
Well, I say that because I think that's something like, for example, I had a very, you know, growing up in Pakistan for my childhood, coming here, I saw people that were older, like my parents, and then their friends, and even some people who were in high school that we looked at as fobs, like fresh off the boat. And I remember being a kid and being like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be made fun of. I don't want to be like that they see that I stand out in that way. And so I was like kind of shifting away from, you know, the culture to sort of try to fit in.
Yeah.
Right.
And then later on realizing, like, you know, for example, you gave a great story about the Hawaiian shirt and, like, you know, the things that you learned from your grandfather, which is just like the, you know, our roots and our culture is all we have. So
another thing I want to add to it is, like, when you speak your native tongue and the other ones, I'll give you a great example. So on Saad's wedding, I was driving your parents around to to the venue, and I heard your dad talk to your mom in her ears, like, you know, in Urdu, but I'll say in English. He was like, you know, this kid is like so intellectual, like he speaks very well, and he's very, like, you know, well traveled, and, you know, can't believe
Don't be too flattered.
Well, no,
my
but
dad did talk about him afterwards. He was like, yeah, Hadi was very sweet, he's very intellectual.
The point is, like, if you speak different languages, if you you can carry conversation with any age, any person around the world, whether they're Desi, Indian, Pakistani, Bengali, you can connect with them on their level. You don't, like, if I were to get my point across to, let's say, your parents or his parents, right, I have to speak their language, the one they are more comfortable with. Yeah, English is, you know, everybody speaks English, but when you speak the native tongue with the person who actually, you know, knows more about the language than you, they kind of will understand you more. Like, like, you know what?
And that's so true, because I think, you know, seeing my parents sort of like navigate when we came here was one of the most comfortable things for them. Was always just like, they would see someone who's brown, and then they would kind of be like, they might be working at a store or something, and they wouldn't know, like, necessarily where they're from or something. And then one of the phrases that they use often is apne bande, and that gives them comfort. And apne bande means our people, and that means that, okay, I can have a natural conversation with them at this point now. It becomes like a thing where they start giving you hospitality. They understand what you, like, your needs, right? Because our needs are not going to be the same as American people. So, like, even if you go to a restaurant, for example, they'll be like, oh, you want chai, right? Like, that's a part of our meal or something. Or you want this way, you want this spicier. And those are things that, like, you can connect to on that level of people. Right. We were talking about travel and stuff, so I kind of want to get into some of your stories, because I think some of your stories, people would think that, like, you might be the most interesting man in the world. So I'll just go down the list, because these seem really interesting. You said, when I was 8, I had dreams about angels asking me to find my purpose in life, which led me on my spiritual journey. Talk about that.
Right. So that's, like, one of those big things happened in my life growing up. So when I was 8 years old, you know, there was a mosque right near our house. And every morning, whenever the call for prayer went off, you heard it. I would still pray here and there, but I remember that dream so, like, as if I was like it happened yesterday. I was sleeping and I had a dream. It was a bird's eye view in the park, and, you know, my generation grew up playing outside in the park, like, besides the games and all that. I did have Sega Genesis, but I played maybe like an hour a day, but most of our times were spent playing outside. Rough. And then I guess your generation came that you were, like, in the middle, like half in half
in
outside.
Pakistan we played outside. Coming here, it was like,
and we would play rough. We would hit each other with, like, balls and, you know, table balls or whatever. But anyway,
and ball poop.
So the dream was the bird's eye view, and it was me on the seesaw. And the other side of the end was, I think, Jibreel alayhi salam, Gabriel.
Which is an angel you can find in Quran.
In Quran and Bible, Abrahamic religions. And obviously I didn't see the face. It was just like a flash. And there were other angels around just doing whatever. And the flash spoke to me saying, you know, the time is near. You should find your purpose. And I woke up, and literally when I woke up, my eyes opened. I just heard the call for prayer. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it. Got up, got ready, went to the mosque. And
at 8 years old, what does purpose even mean?
So that was interesting. At that time, I thought my purpose was to get on the path of praying. And
like a religious
sort. So I got on that. I started praying every day, 5 times a day, things like that. And then it evolved throughout my life to what it meant. In our culture, I don't know if you guys know, but we tend to name kids because the name had a significant effect on the person. For example, my name, Hadi, like, It's one of those 99 names of Allah, and Hadi means the one who shows the right path, the guidance, right? So I feel like my purpose of in this world could have been show the right path to people. Now, the right path doesn't necessarily mean that if you're a Muslim, I want to guide you toward Islam or anything. I have so many incidents in my life where the person was actually a Christian and she was confused. She wanted to convert to Islam, but through my actions, through my talking to her, she actually stayed Christian and she started going to church, started doing more her work, and I felt like I was able to help her find her path.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't actually forcefully take her and say, like, this is your path. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like, so one of the things happened to me back in 2010. Again, this is a period where I was still adjusting in America, and this was my first another experience that happened in my life. 2010, it was December 23rd. I still remember. It was like my lunch break. I used to work at State Department in Washington, D.C. near Foggy Bottom. I was going for lunch. I was in my suit, and I see this lady on the phone talking, and she wasn't paying attention. I go to 7-Eleven and come back with my food, and I see there's a bunch of old people circling around this area, and they're screaming, they call 911, call 911. I walk over, and I see the lady actually fell in the manhole. It was filled with like sewage water, and it was freezing cold. And I saw to my right, it was a big guy just eating McDonald's and looking down. I'm like, yo, bro, can you help pull her out? He's like, no, I already called 911. I'm like, okay, cool. And her daughter was like standing close by, and she was crying, and I just couldn't help. So I just took my jacket off, whatever, got on my knees, pulled her out. I told her, hey, on count of 3, just jump and I can pull you out. So she did it. I pulled her out, and my clothes got dirty, whatever. I'm like, shit, I have to go back to work. So I go back to work. I go to my boss's office, and I tell her, hey, this is what happened. I don't feel comfortable. Can I go home? She's like, yeah, go home. And she was very proud because a couple of years ago, she actually fell in the same manhole.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
so she was like, go home.
I'm gonna take care of that manhole.
So
that's incredible, though. You're like a superhero.
yeah, so I felt like when taking metro home, I was just like in shock, thinking like, yo, I didn't even think twice, and that how like it made me so much happier internally.
What was her reaction when you pulled her out?
Honestly, I don't even remember because I just walked away.
She didn't go for like a kiss.
No, it was an old lady. I was thinking, how superheroes say, but her daughter was cute. I don't know what happened, but but so check this out. So on my way back, I just had this whole like life thing experience going through my head. I'm like, you know what? I was there to help this lady out, things like that. And that time I was actually super, super depressed. Like I was going through a lot of stuff, like, bad breakup. And, my family was in Pakistan. I was supposed to go visit them, but my job told me I can't travel. And so I was like kind of lonely. And, obviously I couldn't just I wanted to be by myself. So that thing happened that made me really happy. I'm like, okay, there's, in that moment I realized there's more to it. In the world than just girls, money, cars, or whatever. So that was my like you can kind of say reincarnation. In Hinduism they say a person dies and comes back, but you can also have a reincarnation when you're still alive. Your soul goes through this new phase of moment where you realize, there's other things, there's other meanings to life. You start searching for something, you become a different person, right?
Do you think that like when you were younger, sort of having that experience of like this purpose thing, that being engraved in your head, that every time that you had these similar experiences, it kept guiding you in that way, the same way that like faith would, like, oh, this is purpose, and that kept you on the right track? Or do you think
Right, so I would say faith has actually kept me in the right path, because I remember growing up in high school, and I don't know if the same case with you, but with me, I really had low self-esteem. Like I would literally hear like some girls be like, "Oh, ew, he's ugly," just like that, right?
Oh, wow.
So it would hit me differently. I'm like, oh damn, like I'm ugly, but I had really low self-esteem, right? So it was just one of the things like growing up, and I was just like constantly, doubting myself, constantly seeing like other people getting successful. This is before the life-saving experience I was telling about. Okay. This is like in the middle. So one day I was so angry. I'm like, you know what? I need my answers right now. And I opened the Quran. I was like, you know what? Allah, you have to show me answers, or else I'm just gonna stop praying or whatever. I opened the chapter, random page, and the chapter that came out was about Jonah, Nuh alayhi salam. He was the one who was swallowed by fish, the whale. And the thing that was highlighted to me, it says, we punished him because he didn't have enough patience. And the word patience just stood out to me so, like, it was like bold, like it was just like shiny. I'm like patience, okay. That moment on, I got accepted in a college, University of Maryland. I wanted to go there, but I kept getting declined. Like 3 times I got declined, and I was like, you know what? I need to get in this college. This is my dream, because none of my siblings have been to college in the United States. So I want to be the first one. Because his mom, Shamir's mom, finished college in Pakistan, and then she got married. So I was the only one in the U.S., and I wanted to get at the University of Maryland College Bar, but I kept getting declined and so rejected. So I was just miserable. I'm like, I'm getting, no results, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have patience, whatever happens. And that moment on, man, I kid you not, got accepted in the University of Maryland, got my first like a government job, working under Hillary Clinton, and it just kept going up and up and up. And the guilt. And then the questions I had previously, I started getting the answers for them too. And I realized, I was like, you know what? I was going through a test, and I passed because I didn't give up. Because, I wanted to give up, but, God showed me the patience. Like, you got to have patience.
I think what I was getting at with my question was kind of like, a lot of us have these types of experiences. I think you're able to really...
pick up on
symbolize these things and like find meaning behind a lot of it.
Correct. So that was like one of the things that I feel like one of my purpose is to show the younger generation who have problem understanding what their purpose in life. Right. So especially Desi community, we have so many girls especially who are trapped in the house, and they try to use marriage to get freedom or things like that, or some kids who don't understand. Like, they're being forced to do like certain things that their parents want them to do. Like, I was in the same boat. My dad was like, you have to do engineering, this and that. But I broke out of it. I ended up graduating with econ, and then I went back again. I did cybersecurity, but I took the initiative for myself. And I feel like I can, as one of my purpose to show the person the right path, is I can help them understand, look, it's okay to step outside and not listen to your parents. Obviously, don't disrespect them, but you can do what you want to do, and you can, especially in America, there's so much out there you could do. You
have another one here that says you witnessed a very tragic and near-death experience in Pakistan. What was that about?
Man, so Karachi used to be when you have all these thugs here, like, I'm a thug, I'm a G. I'm like, yo, you haven't seen anything. If you go to Karachi, is the spot where back in like 90s, it used to be like, like lots of shooting, lots of murders and things like that. And growing up, people think I'm a psychopath, but I'm not, because everything I see something like a blood or something, I stay calm, just because when I was growing up, I witnessed so many. There was an incident where there was a robbery, and there was a guy, he had people as a hostage, and I remember he went on the rooftop, and us kids were like hiding in like bush looking at him like, yo, that's the guy, he has a gun. And within an instant, his head just blows off.
Oh no,
he got sniped by cops, and we saw it as kids, and he saw his body, and then we actually went afterwards, looked at the body closely. So growing up, it was normal for us. Like me as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then one time I was in the market buying some chicken for my mom, and there was a shootout. There's like a bunch of people came with AK-47. They start shooting randomly, and I remember my instinct kicked in. I jumped behind this like a barrier, and I just like hid there for like an hour, and my brother came picked me up. But experiencing all this stuff really like made me realize,
desensitized you.
Yeah, sort of, but I still feel some sort of a way. Like, I would look out for people who need help, right? If they are going through something. Like recently happened 2 years ago, I was in Barcelona, and I kid you not, I crossed the street and I looked back, and it was an ISIS attack. I was right there. Yes, 2 years ago, remember?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was there 3 days after it happened.
Yeah, so I was literally there when it happened. I looked at it with my own eyes, and I'm looking at it, and I can't comprehend. I'm like, okay, is this a normal accident, or this guy just like ran through people? I wasn't even thinking about it was ISIS attack or terrorist attack.
It was when the truck went through a whole bunch of people, right?
Yeah, it was at the Ramlas. That was the area. So I was just like cool about it. I'm like, okay, stay calm. And people just screaming and running. I went back to the hotel, came out, and it was just locked down. And I kept getting calls from like my work and my friends like, are you okay? Are you traumatized? I'm like, yo, I'm fine. They're like, you witnessed all that and you're okay? And obviously I couldn't tell them like, yo, this is what happened, I'm a thug. Like, I'm not gonna say that, but it's just like I learned to stay calm when I see things like that. I mean, obviously, you know, one of my phobias is going to the hospital and seeing like, you know, sick people and old people. That just gets me all the time because there's a story behind it too. Like, but you know, it's just one of the things like those near-death experiences and actually, you know, being close to die when the shootout happened. Like, I just feel like, you know, like you can make this world a better place because, you know, when you see all these World War III memes happening and all this funny stuff going on, like we're just taking everything so like as a joke now. And I feel like some of these people who are making fun of it, they won't be able to comprehend what I have seen as a kid. They'll be just like, holy crap, like what is this? Like nowadays, like, you know, on the TV they have so much censorship now because they think violence is gonna make, you know, these kids more violent, which is not true because
that's what it is though, right? Like it's like we're not able to comprehend, especially the younger generation, of like what it is actually like to go through war or, you know, fear for your life or anything like that. I mean, I would say that I don't even know what that's necessarily like. I just remember the feeling that a lot of people had, you know, around 9/11 and you know, like growing up and seeing people actually get attacked for their race or their religion or things. So yeah, like people just don't know what it's like. And I think for you to having actually experienced it, like you understand that it's not time to joke, it's not time to panic either.
Correct.
It's time to, you know, get it together and figure out a solution, right? Yeah, and then so you said your purpose led you to travel around the world with a friend. You talked a lot about traveling. So what are some of like the things that you kind of experienced on your journeys?
So after the incident of 2010 where I saved the lady, so what happened was when I came back the next day to work, I had a little card on my desk and I was like, whoa, what's that? And I opened it and it was from the lady. And she was like, thank you so much. What happened was...
How'd she know it was you?
So, as a government employee, you have the badge. They call it PIV card, whatever. So, when I was going inside, picking her up, I guess she's her daughter. I gave it to her. She saw where I work, and actually, she happened to work in the State Department, too. So, she, you know, it's easy. You could just go to your global list, type in the name, and shows up. So, she found out where I was. And, you know, there was a saying, thank you so much, you know, for, you know, saving me and whatever. So, that actually hit me so, like, differently. And then I was like, you know what can I do that I can reach out to people besides this area? And my dad, growing up, he was in Pakistani International Airlines and he would travel all the time. One of the things he taught me is how to travel properly, how to pray, and how to be generous. And those are things I think were the best thing he ever taught me. And so I was like, okay, I need to start traveling because I have family around the world and things like that. So I made my first move. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to book something. So I booked my ticket to London. And I've been to London since like 98 and it's been like 12 years. So I went to London and, you know, I was like, okay, this wasn't bad at all. Let's see what else I can do. And then, so as I started traveling, I started encountering and started running into these people who were in need of help in any ways. Now, when I say in need of help, it could have been like as simple as they wanted somebody to listen to them. Or they wanted somebody who could tell them, like, hey, just go. Like somebody to push them. Or somebody that they wanted to share their knowledge with somebody, but they couldn't because nobody wanted to listen or nobody wanted to do anything about it. For example, I met this guy at the airport. We were waiting for our flight. It was like a 5-hour layover. The guy was born and raised in Soviet Russia when it was like legit communism. And the stuff he told me, what they have, like how they were operating and what they would do to a person if he was a drunk person, he would try to sit in the car, what would happen to the person, and all the social justice, things like that, I would have never imagined because I never read any of those in the history book in America. So that opened up a different world to me, that okay, this is the side of the communism that US doesn't talk about. It's something different. Then I went to Azerbaijan and there I saw like this whole museum dedicated to Putin, right? And things have done, like they have his underwear, his belt. I started laughing too, and the lady who works there, she's like, "What's so funny?" She's like, I was like, "Oh, I would have never thought." She's like, "Are you American?" I was like, No, I'm from Pakistan. So that's when speaking different language, it comes in handy, because sometimes like, okay, and she says something in Urdu. She's like, "Aap kahan se ho?" Like, so
Where are you from?
which city? And I said, oh shit, Karachi. That's all she knew. But she was trying to test me if I were like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was cool, because I told her Karachi and she knew it was in Pakistan. So
Okay.
again, so it's like running into people. And then I met this one beautiful lady back in 2013 where she had a daughter and she was going through this terrible time, and we met in Amsterdam, and then we rode motorcycles to we went to Belgium and all that. While we were riding, we would stop at this place. She would tell me what this road is, what this place is, and things. And we connected differently, and it was this experience. And when I was done, she was like, I had the best time. I didn't know there were people like that, who just want to just hang out with me and not expect anything in return. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, there's plenty of people out there. We're still friends. And no, she's married. Actually, she invited me to her wedding. I couldn't go. But it's just, you meet those people and you never know what you can learn from them or what you can teach them.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, I feel like my purpose leads me to these places randomly. Like, people are like, how did you end up in Azerbaijan? Or,
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, how do you even interact with these people or come across these people?
It's my personality. I just see and I can feel like, okay, I can approach this person, have a conversation. And next thing you know, this person could be going through so much.
Yeah.
And you talk to them and then they listen to you. Like, I've probably explained about Islam and Pakistani culture to all these people in remote areas that they had no idea, but like, oh, ISIS is Islam or things like that. Then they had this different perspective, like, oh, okay, it's more than that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys do this, is this religion? Like, no, this is cultural, this is this, that. So explaining them, spreading knowledge is also
Just by being yourself.
Just by myself. For example, Salahuddin Ayyubi, he was the Muslim leader during Crusade times, and when he took over Palestine, that Jerusalem, when he died and they opened his treasure box, there was only one coin, gold coin left, and people was wondering, how can we do his burial? He has no money left. It turns out he was using his own money, his own funds to build churches and synagogues and mosques. He didn't just discriminate that, oh, you know what, I'm Muslim, so I'm only going to focus on Muslim. The point is, he let the people judge Islam based on his actions. Because there's a lot of people out there, non-Muslim, obviously they don't read Quran, they don't know about Islam, so what they can do is judge the religion based on your character. And that's how I feel like, I can also take somebody to a right path is through my actions.
Yeah. Were you sad when that beautiful lady got married?
No, but here's the thing though, when you travel, man, and you meet people like that, and you fall in love with their personality, or you fall in love with the culture, and then you leave, that hits you another way, and
Why? Because you're never gonna see him again.
Either that, or it's just a goodbye thing, right? But after traveling to so many countries, your mind gets this sort of a prep, like you prep for it, like,
so you don't get too attached,
which is a double-edged sword. But then I also have a control in a way that I can attach myself to someone if I want to, but if I don't want to, I can also do that, like flip the switch. But it took a really long time to get my mind to a point where, okay, you know what, it's time for a goodbye.
You have social media now too, so I don't know if that makes it a little bit
harder.
Yeah, that's a lot of my followers that meet people online. They actually met them through Instagram. Like they would like my post and things like that, and I would post like, "Hey, going to this country or this city."
Oh, that's dope.
They're like, "Oh, you
POLOMAN
coming?"
travels.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you coming? Yo, can we show you around this and that?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
That's awesome.
And this is one of the.
How do you decide like what country you're going to next, or do you just like throw a dart on the map or something?
So I try to go to places, and I tell a lot of people to do the same thing. Go to places where not many Westerns or Americans go to, because when you go to a place like, for example, Azerbaijan, they have a good relationship with Pakistan, so they were like, okay, he's Pakistani. But when they found out that I was American, they treated me in a different way. Like, okay, we don't get too many Americans here, let's treat him the best way possible, so when he goes back, he can spread word and say, hey, beautiful place, beautiful this. go visit. And honestly, I had the best time over there. It was so cheap. It was so nice. It was so historic. Everything like just amazing. Like the culture and people there. It was funny because the girls there dressed up like mini skirts. Like I thought they were just like Americans or Western, but the guys were like completely opposite. They looked like they were from like, you know, post like Soviet Russia, like weird sense of style, like dress. And you had this older generation, they're wearing hijabs and like super religious. So I was confused, but it was such an amazing feeling. Like you have all this, like, you know,
It felt non-judgmental.
no, not judgmental at all. But they had this class, like they don't walk next to you if the girls. They have this thing like, yo, it's not it looks good in our culture, you have to like keep your distance or things like that. So they had even though they were dressed like very modern and all that, but they still have that Muslim, yeah, like, you know, keep your distance, don't touch or things like that. So that was pretty interesting.
And one of the last things you had on here was how your Desi culture changed after disappointing relationships and modern culture. So what's that about?
So a lot of my best friends, Shamir knows them too, Danesh and all of them, they're all married. They got married young and all that. They got married for whatever reasons, right? They want to have a family, or, you know, they were ready for it, things like that. I personally, I don't believe in arranged marriage. That's my personal choice. I mean, it could work for a lot of people. I have my mom, his mom, Shamir's mom, my brother were like, oh, I have a girl for you, Rishta here. I'm like, look, let me do my own way, because, you know, that's the way I can see it will work down the road. So being in a relationship and a couple of relationships, I realized, like, for example, one of my relationships, she was European.
Okay.
Yeah, no, European. So she was European, and that's when I actually understood what the European Desi culture is about. Those girls over there, they're just
She's
trying
European Desi.
to European Desi.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Girls over there just trying to get married, just to buy freedom, to pursue their goals. Because again, like I mentioned earlier, these Desi people, when they move to European countries, they bring the culture with them, right? And they have these rules and curfews on girls, and they won't let them do at certain times. So these are girls are legit wanting to get married when they're like in their early 20s, just so they can go and do what they want and travel or fashion, whatever. So I learned that the hard way. Like, you know what, this girl's, you know, after explaining her my situation over and over, I'm like, look, you know, just give me like 8 months of this, you know.
So she was pressuring you.
Yeah, it was like pressure in a negative way. And then she was a lot younger than me. She was 6 years younger than me. And there was one of the things, like, her mom just for some reason just didn't like the fact that, you know, I have a beard. Because if I have a beard, like, what does that make me super religious? Again, this is going back to the fact that they bring the culture with them.
Yeah, like the social norms.
So yeah, he has a beard, so he must be super religious. Oh, he wears rings, so he's a beard. Like, literally, like, why do you wear rings? I'm like, yo, this is part of my fashion. What does that make me, a beard? You know, beard, those, like, beard is like those people, and back home in temples, they sit there like and they do like special prayer for you. They're kind of like holy healers, which is, I don't believe in them, but they just wear rings, kind of like a black magic, or they have some special powers. So it's sort of like that. And over the time, I'm like, you know what, if this is going to continue with your mom and your siblings keep going to pressuring you for, it's going to be pretty negative down the road. Because what if they start coming, it's like, oh, when are you going to have kids? Hurry up right now. I want grandkids. And I'm one of those people, like, don't tell me what to do. Like, let me do it on my own pace, right? What's the rush, right? If it's meant to be, it will happen. Calm down. Like, all these Desi people be like, just have this timeline. Like, you're this now, okay, you have to do this. You're this years old, you have to do this. And I don't understand, you know, like why they have this, you know, concept, like, you have to. Our parents are different generation, right? They got married, and mashallah, all of our parents, you know, they have happy, like your parents, you know, they're happy. Shamir's parents, everybody's parents are happy. And that's because they were in a different environment, right? We grew up in the US. We've seen so much in terms of a different point of view, and so we understand, okay, what's working, what's not working, right? Because what may work for them doesn't mean it will work for us. And so in these relationships, and seeing how they act and what they're trying to accomplish, made me realize that there's more to it than just wanting to settle down and be with someone. So another thing that when I travel, right, solo or with a friend, I've learned to be myself in a way. I can be entertained by myself. Like if I'm by myself, I can entertain myself. I can be at peace. It doesn't bother me if I'm alone or not. And people don't understand is a lot of these girls that are trying to get married early age, they have this complex issue like I have to be with someone or I have to be in a relationship. There's some people out there that just have to be in a relationship. They can't be by themselves. And that's very destructive in a way that, okay, God forbid if anything happens to me, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be like completely dependent on me. What's gonna happen to you?
But they're also raised to believe that they will have somebody to be dependent on.
Exactly.
So it's not self. It doesn't stem from themselves. It stems from what they're taught.
Exactly. Like, you know, it goes back to what they have observed, and since they're just like inside house so much, they observe and they, you know, see their parents, and so they're like, okay, this is it, this is gonna continue. But they don't understand that other person has different values, different perspective. And I'm straightforward. If I meet somebody, I tell them, hey, this is I'm about this. If you're looking for kids ASAP, this or that, it may not work, because if you're gonna be with me, I want you to explore. I want you to see the world the way I see it. If I'm sitting by myself at the beach, just chilling, smoking shisha, whatever, just enjoying myself, I can do that. Can you do the same thing for yourself? And it all depends on.
It's a good kind of way to look at it.
So, like these Desi people nowadays, I understand. I just don't understand. Like, okay, you know what? If you want to settle down, you want to marry, go for it. But don't expect the other person to be the same thing as you. If you're gonna jump off the bridge, don't tell them to jump off the bridge. Just tell them, hey, go pursue your dreams, do whatever makes you happy. So I feel like our culture, like for example, another thing I forgot to mention, when I went to Malaysia, I noticed all these Desi girls were injecting themselves with some sort of a chemical to make their skin lighter, because there was so much pressure.
Wow.
You know, Fair and Lovely in Pakistan and India, like, make the
like
skin
cream
lighter.
So there's an injection for it?
Yeah, and in Malaysia, they were injecting themselves to kill those, I forgot,
Melanin?
Yeah, those pigments, just get rid of them so they can be lighter. And I asked this girl, I'm like, why are you doing this? She's like, my ex-boyfriend left me for this Gori, like this white girl. I'm like, okay, so you want to take revenge by like lightening yourself, making yourself lighter and getting married
Or
ASAP?
thinking she lost him because she wasn't light enough.
Light enough. And so this whole like mentality that even when I was growing up, like I'm the darkest one in my whole siblings, right? So people would pick on me, oh, you know, he's adopted, this and that, but it didn't affect me. It actually, now I see it. You know, those aunties would be sending rishta, oh beta, you're so handsome. I'm like, please, like, no, you should find somebody who's light skin or whatever. You know, I remember, because you bullying a kid into saying, so all this, they see things that happens in growing up and just looking at, you know, like for example, Shamir has, you know, he's ballsy to have blonde hair. Like some people like, oh, he looks, you know, like, you know, loser or Zayn Malik, whatever those names, but he's
Who said that? It's like,
but he's doing it because that's his personality, that's his individuality. He developed it, right? He wants to do it. You have long hair, you know, that's your individuality. You know, you have sense of fashion, that's your thing. You know, you're not getting influenced by someone else. You're not trying to impress other people. I hope not. So it's just one of the things I realized, that if I marry a Spanish or somebody from a different culture, you know, would it make any difference? Right? And I asked the people, they're like, oh, you're gonna marry her or Gori or Kali or this? Like, this is a like nowadays, like I can't tell a difference. Like, okay, there's Muslim Desi, there's Muslim Spanish people, white people, whatever, right? For my thing is like, as long as you're respectable person, you know, there's nothing wrong in expanding your genes, right? Why not? And then this thing in our culture, like, oh, he married outside the culture, so he must have been desperate or something. Like this negative connotation, like no, like, because me being personally in the relationship with those Desi people, I understand, okay, they're not any different than me being in a relationship with a Spanish girl or white girl or whichever culture I want to, because there's no difference. Literally, the only difference is the religion or language barrier, right? But you can always...
It's like to your comfort, what you're sort of used to and want and are okay with adapting to or whatever.
Exactly.
So tell us what's next for POLOMAN, and where can people find you?
Well, obviously my Instagram, that's where I'm more active, is P0LOMAN, POLOMAN. Obviously, the zero is there for, I don't know what reason, I just couldn't find it. Honestly, this year, my resolution is to stop arguing with people. Like, just stop explaining completely. Like, I was on the same path of not arguing, explaining people.
Like with politics and things like that?
No, not well, more like, you could say that to politics or something like that would, anything like, for example, this person was she was asking about my opinion on divorce in the Desi community, and when I started explaining to her, she's like, don't argue with me. But I'm telling her from my personal experience, what I've seen, what I've observed, and now you're saying don't argue. I'm like, I'm not arguing, I'm telling you my opinion. Anyways, that just, made me upset. I'm like, why am I upset? Because she told me to shut up for no reason. So I realized not arguing with people or explaining myself is a lot more, it's easier way out, but at the same time, it's for personal health in a way. Like, I don't want to be stressed out.
Yeah, I think all of us, could definitely take that into account, that arguing and all that kind of stuff, it affects us more than like, other people, and we're wasting our time a lot
exactly. And it's just one of the things, like, sometimes, like, my thing is, if I get angry, I tend to be quiet or walk away, because I don't want to say something that I'm going to regret later. And I tell people, I'm like, please, like,
You're gonna get canceled.
So it's one of the things, like, it's my goal to stop arguing with people, stop just explaining myself, which I never did anyway, because people are like, oh, you're going to be 32 soon and you don't have kids, and I'm like, all right, cool. Are you paying my bills? No, right? Like, that's it. Or just troll them straight up, like,
just focus on yourself, sounds like, instead of,
so, and then besides that, I just want to travel to actually Greenland. May go there in June.
Okay.
And just people like, Greenland, what's over there? I'm like, nothing, it's just ice. I just want to go there, just put my foot down, do the POLOMAN over there, in front of iceberg, or like an empty city. Man, just focusing myself, trying to be, go out there, because all my friends are married again, and I started hanging out with you guys, last year more, and I just felt like, yo, this is cool, because one of my friends actually, Donna, she's my age, and he's like, yo, man, you actually had the same energy level as them. I'm like, what do you mean same energy? I'm not that old, bro. Like, I can keep up.
Sometimes you have more energy than that. It's awesome.
I go to the gym, I work out because I want to stay healthy. Like, you like go. He's like, yeah, I'm a dead bod. I'm done. All right, well, good for you.
That's awesome. Well, Hadi, I think we learned a lot from you, and I think other people like that are listening will definitely, understand what it's like for somebody who has found purpose in things, not necessarily that has a purpose, but like has found purpose, and that's something that we can all sort of like learn from. But we have to ask one last question on the podcast.
Sure.
Amber, if you want to take that away.
If you could describe yourself as any flavor, what would it be and why?
That's a tough one. Okay, I would say I'm a very spicy flavor, because
Spicy what?
like spicy, like
Spice.
Spicy is
Spice.
a
spice,
flavor.
like something like super spicy,
it is.
habanero, or North Carolina Reapers. Those are the hottest one out there. Just because, like, people always underestimated me when I was growing up. They was like, oh, he's skinny, but how come you weigh so much more? I'm like, because muscle weighs more than fat. Things like that. They were underestimating me in so many ways. And I just never wanted to just like, what? I don't have to prove you anything and things like that. But when they saw what I was capable of, it's like, holy crap. Like, it's like it hits you.
The kick. It kicks in the spice.
It kicks in the spice. Like, damn. Like, and people be like, oh, yeah, you can't handle me. I'm like, all right, cool. And then when they see the energy level, like, holy crap, like, shit, like, you're a different breed.
That is exactly like a Carolina Reaper pepper. Right. Have you had one before?
Yeah, I have, actually.
It kicks in way after. Yeah. But the more you chew on it, it's all settling in, and then boom, it kicks in.
Before I go, there's a trick to it. If you don't drink coffee or caffeine and you want to stay away from it, which I've been for like past 2 years, keep a little bit of those peppers with you. And whenever you're falling asleep, just take a small sip or a little like a dab to your tongue.
Of the Reaper pepper.
Or any pepper, habanero, anything hot. It will keep you up. It will wake you up. You're like, oh wow, okay, I'm good. That's a trick with me.
It's like peppers in the pocket.
Yeah, it's self-defense. Somebody comes, you just toss it in the air. Just like the way you threw the shit.
There you go. That's your lessons from POLOMAN. Besides all the other things, keep some peppers on your side.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hadi, for coming on the podcast. Thank you, all the listeners, for tuning in to another episode of Strange Flavors. It's been another week.
Another flavor.
A little less stranger.
We'll talk to you next time.
I had to find a way to let you go, and I'm here to